Sorum of Yoga Therapists of Alaska, and welcome ASD teachers to our tutorials taking you through the art of teaching yoga. And perhaps the fundamental art to teaching yoga is learning these categories of movement that we use in yoga. So in yoga, we are looking at doing forward bends, backward bends, twists, lateral bends, and we want to work with axial extension, a long spine, and that also requires some core bracing. So I've designed a sequence at UAA to teach students how to fundamentally understand how each of these movements feels in a really safe way. And so we learn them supine, laying on the back, and then as we develop over the weeks, over the course of our curriculum, those movements get done in different positions. They'll get done on the hands and knees, and standing, and upside down, and whatnot. But learning them on the ground is really safe and starts to build awareness. And it also starts to help them feel the benefits of yoga right away with something that's easy and accessible. And this is important. We need to make it easy enough for our students that they get excited about it, that they're successful with it. So, let's begin. Sit with me in Sukhasana. Close your eyes and do a quick body scan. Noticing how the feet and legs feel, how the hips and low back feel, how the middle back, neck, and head feel, how your shoulders and through the arms to the fingertips feel. And just have an impression of how your body feels right now. And then we'll do the spinal floss and we'll see how our body feels afterwards. We'll see if there's an improvement. Okay, lie on your back. Now, normally your students can't screw this up too much. But if their head is really, their neck is tight and they're leaning back, you might want to put a little pillow or a blanket underneath their head so their spine is long. If their back bothers them here, you can invite them to bend their knees. It'll relax their back down. Before we move, we find the breath. Breathe through your nose. Maybe put a hand on your belly and a hand on your chest. When we inhale, the belly moves, the chest moves. And the chest and the belly empty. Our breath is going to be our movement partner. So more than your instructions, your students are going to listen to their breath. Okay, everybody bend your knees, soles of feet to the floor, arms at your sides. Inhale, and lift your hips up into the back bend. As you exhale, lower down to one vertebra at a time. Inhale, lift your hips up. Exhale, coming down. Make sure your students' feet are about hip distance apart, that their thighs are tracking with their knees, and that their arms and legs are helping to lift the spine. And then we add, inhale, take your arms up and overhead, and exhale, roll the spine down. Inhale, take the hips up and overhead, arms up and overhead, and lower down. And then the arms get to stay overhead. And they're going to imagine that they're holding onto monkey bars. And they really are going to add more traction to their upper back. Oh, and stretch through the sides of the body. Inhale, stay up. Take 2 big breaths in the back bend. And then lower all the way down. yoga is about the pause, about dropping into that stillness. So never feel guilty about just giving them a little time to assimilate. So we're assimilating the back bend. And then we're going to pay our attention on our feet, lean into the heels, circle the toes in and around. And notice that if I just turn my feet and kind of do it sloppy and just weakly, nothing happens. I have to start to engage and use some torque, right? Torque is that rolling up the slack in the tendons, in the ligaments, to actually make this spiral and this screw that happens through the body. And then spiral the other way. Oh, and it gets exhausting. You're actually strength training and resisting the muscles against the bones and igniting all of these tissues to work together. Because the feet really do connect to the whole rest of the body. And then point, flex, point, flex, point, flex. And notice if my heels start to slide, I can't get the movement through my spine. So you have to hook your heels in and then use your heels and the feet like rudders to plug up and down. It's quite the cardio workout. It's burning in the fronts of the shins. And then relax. Squeeze the legs together into one leg. There's an adduction happening. Inner thighs work. Pull the toes towards the ceiling. It'll bend the ankles, and that means the knees will bend also. And tighten all of this. Oh, keep pulling the feet towards the face. And then we're leaning down into the heels, but at the same time, pretend you're lifting the legs up and off the floor. So you're thinking up, down, and together. And that's already a lot of work, to think up, down, and together. So this isometric resistance we're using in these different planes of movement. Whew. Add the arms. You're going to make a sphere of tension by making all of the fingertips meet, and there's a little bend in them. There's also a little bend in your elbows, like ballet position 1. And then as we pull the rib cage down and we start to straighten the elbows, there's this counterbalance of pulling down and reaching up, of pushing in, pulling out. And then it's this down and then overhead. Keep everything organized. This is creating the core bracing. Inhale into your rib cage. And exhale, pretend you're a plank and you're lifting your whole body up and off the floor. But remember, the heels and the sacrum are pushing down. And your rib cage. Your rib cage, your sacrum, and your heels are down. Everything else is thinking up. You can even do little tricep extensions overhead. Screw your elbows in towards the ceiling. It's a huge workout. And you can relax with the next exhalation. So that was our axial extension move. And it's also going to be what helps teach core bracing. It's also going to be the foundation for good posture, of really leaning and hugging the muscles around the bones. All right, twist. Open the arms up, roll the big toes together. Bring a leg up to tabletop. The knee is over the hip, the shin is parallel to the floor. You roll over the bottom leg, and this leg drops down. Oh, my arm came up off the floor. That's fine. Roll your head back, the arm goes down, the leg comes up. And you turn yourself into a washing machine, and you just start to wring the spine out. The twist begins from the bottom and moves up to the top. It rolls from the top back down to the bottom. It's fine if this arm is up and behind you. If that bothers a student, they can always bend the elbow hand to the waist. And then we warm up a few times, and then we come over for the stay. Pin the legs down, so push down. That means this arm is going to come up. And then we're going to practice the movement of your arm. It's kind of like doing a snow angel. Now some of your students are going to be really floppy, so you might need to ask them to firm up the arm a little bit and bring it off the floor slightly. This is really like you're pushing through water. You have some resistance, and that's going to stretch the little muscles in between the intercostals, in between the ribs, those intercostals. And then find a place where it feels good. You're going to breathe. Inhale into the ribs. Exhale, pull the belly down and in. Firm up in the legs. Lengthen through the fingertips. Notice that on the inhalation, you're going into the nooks and crannies. You're making space. And when you exhale, actively move into that space that you've made. So in yoga, we talk a lot about static poses. This is a static pose right now. However, I am making it dynamic by interacting with the breath, and it's a stretch, strengthen. You're doing both. Exhale, lower that arm down, slide the leg up, make your way onto your back, and neutralize that a little bit. Let them circle the knees or circle around the sacrum, whatever feels good. And then as we do this on the other side, you'll just see how it looks from this other angle, from the back. So as this leg comes across and over, this arm might come off the floor. That's okay. If it stays down, that's also okay. The key thing is kind of moving this leg all the way around so the hips stack. And if this bothers a student, it's okay if they don't go as far. But over time, encourage them. They can do it. Over time. And then we'll come over for the stay. Going through your arm sweeps. Again, my elbow is a little bit bent, so I engage with the muscles upstream and downstream. And then find that static hold and go searching for that way to make more space, to stretch and strengthen more. And let that go. Circle it out. And rest. The rest is the time to make smooth and even breathing patterns. Remember, the underlying cause of all disease is stress. So we want to start to eliminate stress. And that's a really good reason for starting class each time on your back and getting rid of tension. And as we get rid of tension, tension is weakness. Tense muscles are weak and prone to injury. When we release the muscles, they can be both strong and flexible. And that's what we're looking to do. So we're de-stressing the body so it can stretch, strengthen. All right, Apanasana. Knees come in and you cover the kneecaps. As you inhale, the elbows straighten. As you exhale, the elbows bend. The important part is the sacrum. As you inhale, you're rolling anterior, forward in the pelvis. As you exhale, you're going posterior. And this relationship is very important. And we're kind of used to this tucked position, but we really want to get familiar with this untucked position. So that untucked position, step your left foot down, bring your right knee in, and repeat, knee to chest, knee away. And feel the rocking of the pelvis. I'm using this foot like a rudder, and you're using your hips like a rolling pin. This knee comes in, this leg goes out. Be firm with this leg. It's going to squeeze in, it's going to push down, it's going to pretend to lift up. And then do your rocking action again of the pelvis. Anterior, posterior. Other side, step your other foot down and bring this knee in and do your rocking action. This is the asymmetric forward bend. So we're now massaging this other side of your back. We're going to stretch this other hip flexor. So we hit the back at a lot of different angles, and we just have this opportunity to floss the psoas, the low back, and massage the belly. Shavasana. This last movement, both legs go over to one side. So my legs are going over to the left. Take that right arm up and overhead, and then lean down that left side. My left side is in lateral flexion. It's like a forward bend on this side. My right side is doing a lateral extension. It's like this big rainbow shape. Enhance that with the use of your legs squeezing together, your arms pulling apart. Inhale into the chest. Exhale, squeeze the legs together. Make sure the hips stay level. They tend to want to lean to the left, so lean them down to the right. And rest. Slide the other way. So my legs are going over to the right. Now this lateral extension is on the left side. It's making this beautiful rainbow shape. Creep your legs over a little more. Inhale, fill up the chest. Exhale, narrow at the waist. Lean this left hip down. And release. Return to your breath. We've just taken your body through all these yoga movements, these 5 spinal movements. Back bend, axial extension, twist, forward bend, side bend. Let's see how our body feels now. Come on up. Come back to sitting. And notice how your body feels now. And hopefully it feels better than when we started. And of course, this is the goal to reiterate to your students each time they come to class. Ask them how their body feels at the beginning of class, and you can ask them how their body feels at the end of class. And over time, they're going to learn that doing yoga makes their body feel good. And what a gift that you can help your students' bodies feel better. That's really why we're doing this. It's why we teach physical education, to help our students love fitness because it makes them feel good. Almost always laying on the floor and stretching around and then sitting back up is going to make you feel better. So give your students that gift. It's likely that at the beginning of the day they're exhausted, they haven't woken up yet, and so this can be a way to kind of get their morning stretch in. It's likely, if you're seeing your students in the afternoon, that they've been go, 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 and they want a chance to de-stress. Let them do that. So this is an opportunity to let them have a little warm-up that is very restorative, and it's also going to train them how to move their bodies in these different planes of movement. And then when they start to do it in different positions, they start to understand how to manipulate that in the most safe way possible. So excited to be on this yoga journey with you. Namaste.